We are looking at moral dilemmas, things that we have to choose, things that we have to do, maybe decisions that we have to make that may or may not cause harm or damage, something that we have to do, something we have to carry out. And I'm sure you can think of many situations where that might be the case, maybe in your own lives, or maybe something you've heard about, maybe something you've read about, where moral choices or decisions have to be made. So what is a moral dilemma? Well, first of all, we will look at the word moral. So when we look at moral, we often look at it as meaning right, the thing that is correct. But, of course, as I always say, quite often these things are subjective. So maybe when we talk about morals, we are talking about one person's own point of view about what is right or wrong. So we often hear people debate or argue about things that are done or carried out, and maybe there is a wrong and a right, maybe from each person's point of view, but we often talk about morals or something that is morally correct. Or, of course, we can talk about the opposite, which is something that is seen as bad or wrong. So we say that that is morally incorrect. It is not right. So the word moral quite often is used to show that something is agreeable or right, or maybe it is the correct thing to do. So something that is moral might be seen as correct, the correct way to behave, the correct way to act, the correct way to carry out a certain task, something that will not cause harm, or when you think about the whole situation, you decide that that was the right thing to do. Ethical. Now, I like that word very much, something that is ethical. Quite often we use this particular term especially when we are discussing medical or professional decisions or choices. So something that is ethical is seen as moral. It is seen as the right thing to do. So quite often, if you are involved in medicine, you have to make a promise. You have to make a vow that you will always do the right thing. I suppose also you might talk about business as well. So we often talk about business ethics, the morals of doing business in a fair and, I suppose, equal way. So even in business, we often talk about ethics or being ethical. So maybe the way you treat your competitors, the people who are also doing the same thing as you, you might treat them fairly or equally. Maybe the way you treat your employees, the people who work for you, we often see ethical treatment. Maybe the way you treat the people who work beneath you, maybe their job is to serve you. How do you treat them? Do you treat them well, or do you treat them poorly? So there are many ways of doing that. Also, I suppose, we can say that a moral dilemma is to be stuck between right and wrong. Now, again, this is subjective. So everyone might have their own opinion of what is right and what is wrong. What is the correct way to do something? What is the incorrect way to do something? How should you deal with a certain problem? A moral dilemma. because whatever the choice is, whatever your decision is, there might be a negative result somewhere. So when we talk about a moral dilemma, we are talking about a difficult decision or choice. We can also describe the word dilemma as quandary. I love that word. It comes out of your mouth in the most magical way. Quandary. Quandary. If you have a quandary, you have a difficult decision to make. You have something you have to work out. Maybe a choice you have to make. Maybe a decision that you have to carry out. So your dilemma can also be described as a quandary as well. Quandary. It is a difficult choice to make. Something that is moral is often seen as just or with reason or with a good reason. So quite often when we see something that is decided upon, you make a decision, you come to a conclusion, you make a choice. You like to think that you are doing the right thing. You are doing the thing that is correct. You are doing the moral thing. But as I said before, quite often being moral is subjective. So your morality might not be the same as someone else's. And that's what makes this particular subject so interesting. So I think it is very difficult. It is a very difficult thing when you find yourself in a dilemma or moral dilemma, making a decision that may or may not cause harm to someone. I am only here for a short time today. It's only a short one. And to be honest with you, I really do want to go outside. Yes, it is very difficult, Mr. Duncan. When you make a choice, when you make a decision, we often say that we have to solve or try to work out the dilemma, because quite often you have a positive side and a negative side, and you have to make a choice. And sometimes those choices are not easy to make. And that is how we express a moral dilemma.